the church on Wall Street is also going to be one for the other side of town. And after we do all that, if we find we need more, you know, I guess it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a third for backup. You know, God only knows with weather these days what's going to happen.
Anyone else?
Yes, yes. My name is Barry Moskin. I live on Glenford-Wittenberg Road. I have some properties.
Hi, Barry.
And I understand there's been a discussion today about the speed limit on that road. And anybody who has been on that road to understand that it is 45 miles an hour, which is the same as Route 28. And with all the blind driveways, is dangerous at best, and in good weather, and worse in bad weather. And I'm hoping that this board makes the recommendation for that study today, because it's long overdue. It's long overdue. And I just, if anybody doesn't think that Glenford-Wittenberg Road is a problem, spend 10 minutes sitting on the side of the road.
I've been on it.
It is,
Yeah.
and there's blind driveways.
Yeah.
It's put everybody in danger, from children to grandparents to pets to county and town workers. You know, they were cutting the lawn last year, and I saw a car come down the hill there, and I was sure they screeched to a stop. And if this doesn't happen, I am quite sure there's going to be a very tragic situation there.
Well, I can give you an update for everybody in here. I think that'll be very happy. We purchased a warning sign anyway. You know, if you, on Wall Street now, you'll see it down the street a bit. We put it on Pine Street earlier, the street that goes between 28 and basically Hannaford's. So people taking a shortcut. So we put that there. I actually talked to the sheriff department yesterday. And they are going to, since we put these out, they're going to start being on these streets. And they're going to start sitting at certain spots. And we put the sign up enough for people to understand that. And they will also, I got them also, since they're in the area, in Pine Street, right across the street from Hannaford there, they're going to be running through Hannaford's parking lot now and ticketing anybody that's parked in that fire lane. But we can move that thing onto there. And I can do the same thing on that road that I did yesterday on the other two.
Well, that'd be very much appreciated. If they go the speed limit at 45, which they don't, by the way, and there's a lot of trucks that go there because they want to avoid 28. But even if they go 45, you'd be shocked. Picture somebody going through your neighborhood at 45 miles an hour, the same as they're going on Route 28. Going the speed limit is not the answer here, which I do appreciate they should be, and they're not. It should be 30, 35 miles an hour. Yeah, remember, they're coming downhill the one way, they're going uphill the other way. It is dangerous at 45, and it's not going the speed limit, it's changing the speed limit, and that's what we're asking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. We've had some communication. I'm in favor of doing a resolution at the next meeting to ask for a speed study to be conducted by the county, right?
Sure.
It's a county road.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
Yeah, and thank you, I appreciate your responses.
You're welcome. I do my best to be responsive and actually make sure action happens, which hasn't always been the case. You're welcome.
Melinda, what about state, what do they typically do, state traffic studies? Now, we all know this whole area has gotten more populated. I guess my question is, how often are traffic studies done? Or are they only done on an as-needed basis? And isn't this a time that we should be looking down that road?
Usually it's done by request, you know.
Whose request?
And a municipality's request, and that can either be to the county or the state, depending on who has jurisdiction over that roadway. So,
28, obviously there was a terrible fatality on 28 very recently.
I'm aware, yeah.
And, the question is, I drive pretty conservatively, but I see a lot of idiotic driving And it's not gonna get better as the summer progresses, as we get into the warmer weather.
Right.
So I guess I'm wondering, shouldn't we be doing
More speed.
more
Well-
traffic studies, whether it's
So-
state or.
New York State DOT is very hard to get them to do pretty much anything. So you have three entities here, basically. You got the state, and you got the county, and you got local. And depending on the roads, that's what they are. I mean, I've literally gone since 2.5 years ago, going and begging them when the rail trail opened between that and the library, not library, the post office, across the street, that somebody, what do we have to do? Wait for somebody to get killed there? And they didn't do anything. And I, just who
Well-
I am, I literally let it be on your shoulders then. Because I'm trying my best to get this place safe. So we don't give up and we keep fighting, and we are we do the Ulster County meeting every month. So hopefully we'll get some movement on some of this.
Well, I think also, once we are in the scenic byway, that will give us greater sway over New York State DOT. The scenic byway is a state DOT program, so it does actually elevate you, and they may listen a little bit more. Yeah.
Well, it carries more weight.
It will carry more weight for sure.
If we
and-
want to propose an area that's slower, we can.
But I mean, honestly, we have the same problem on the other side of town,
Yeah.
Joyce Lane, Zandhook, Route 209, it's, yeah, there,
Yeah.
even DeWitt Mills Road, I mean, there really isn't a through road that is immune, so we just
Well,
do what we can.
what we could do is we could pinpoint all the trouble spots and the ones that we can
Mhm.
encourage the county to do a speed study on now, just go ahead and do that.
Yeah, well, I think
Do a
that that's
batch.
for sure,
So-
Glenford Wittenberg.
Yeah.
The other kind of trouble spot, as everybody knows, is Main Street, Schoolhouse Lane.
Yep,
There actually is a plan at the county, with the county rather, to, upgrade the sidewalks and crosswalks and things in the area of the elementary school on the other side of town. Unfortunately, there just isn't funding to make that happen right now, so, we'll look for grants and see if we can make progress on that, so I hope that's helpful.
Question, has the town put a speed limit on these local roads?
Yes, yeah,
And what is the speed limit?
35.
35,
35?
yeah.
Why does this sign say 25?
So I guess the speed limit on this road was changed at some
Well,
point,
it
if it says
depends, like,
25.
we have, like, in other words, if it's a road that's very heavily traveled, it's lower to 25.
I've lived on this road over 50 years. There is no speeding on that road except for the occasional nut. And you could put a sign every 5 feet and you're not going to change
You want us to raise it to
anything.
35 again? Is that what you
I'm
want?
sorry?
You want us to raise it to 35?
Well, it should be what it is. You
Well,
can't-
that's what I explained to you,
If
sir.
it's 35, you can't post it for 25, because one thing, it's illegal.
Well, these are town roads, so we have the ability to do what we
Is
choose
it
to
a
do.
town machine or is it a county machine?
This is the,
The town
it's a
machine.
town machine.
On borrow?
It's ours.
No,
We
We
bought
No,
it.
own-
we own it.
Now, who put it up, the sheriff?
No, the highway
no,
department.
we put it up, our highway department. Because we had people on the street that were very
Well,
worried.
it's on my property, but I don't care about
Well, we can, honestly,
I don't care about that, but I
We
think
move
it should be the proper speed and not something conjured up like many other things are.
that was the highway department set it up. We'll have them change it then to what it should be.
which is 35.
Because up to this point, it was 50, that's the state law. So now, if it's 35, that's a reasonable speed.
Mr. Herdman,
I believe all village speed limits in this area are
30.
30 miles an hour.
30
And
miles
they
an
used
hour.
to be all posted, yes.
Thank you,
It
sir.
hasn't been changed, and DOT has the authority to change the speed limit only. You have to go to DOT to get it corrected.
I thought that was changed for local
Yeah.
roads.
It may have been recently, but
Yeah, John told us
every
that.
time we've got a call about it, we've had to check with DOT to see if they could lower the speed limit. I
All right.
think they tried it on Van Dale, and we had no authority.
Right,
Vale there's it's a county road there.
Right.
That's a county road, Van Dale.
And,
It's a town
down
road.
in Woodstock and down in Hurley.
Yeah,
So that's it.
They certainly do about 30 miles an hour on that.
yep.
Regardless, it's posted 30 miles an hour on all town roads unless otherwise posted by change through the DOT,
Okay.
Thank you.
as far as I know.
Thanks for the clarification.
Is it possible that the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit was because the school was here?
That's
and
possible.
has never changed?
That's quite possible. No?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I mean, school zones do sometimes, are sometimes lower.
School zone is generally 15 miles an hour.
30 miles an hour. There used to be a sign at each road connecting with 28 that said entering, speed limit 30, and leaving, speed limit 30.
And believe me, they were doing 30. I actually believe they gotta be posted every so many feet to make them legal.
And as much as I hate signs everywhere, maybe it's time we start thinking about maybe posting more signs on these roads.
It needs to be looked into.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other public comment?
Just a quick one.
Sure.
And that is, for the benefit of a lot of people here who are on the water system of, our famous water system. Can you give us a short idea of how things went on
I
Friday?
can, it's on the agenda. Do you guys mind waiting a little bit for that?
Absolutely,
Okay,
sure.
all right. Okay, so if that's all the public comment, let's,
I just had a brief comment
oh,
from Zoom. Are
Hello.
you taking public comments on Zoom?
go ahead, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Yeah, hi. So just to point out that when you're doing the heating centers, they should also be doing cooling centers.
We will take this up with county emergency managers when we have a meeting with them. And
Great.
we'll include that. Thank you. All right. Is there any other public comment? If not, can I have a motion to close public comment?
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Thank you. Is there a second?
No, second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay. Reports and updates.
I think Mike still can't get on.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what to say about that. We can come back to him if he
Okay,
manages to get on. There's a lot of other people here who are on.
yeah.
So seeing no departments, any committee chairs who wish to speak? Kristen?
Is Joan on? Because she's gonna try to zoom in.
She is on Zoom. I think she's
Hi,
on.
I'm on. I'm on.
Hey, Joan.
Can you hear? Hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Greg, for making the comments about our Hale Mountain. And I had just emailed you, Melinda, so that we could have a conversation and maybe start something up there.
Happy to.
Previously, we did have zoning changes, and maybe we have to go to other things, but that, we can discuss at another time. Right now, Climate Smart is going to be at the Memorial Parade. They will have a table there to let people know what we're doing within the town. We are going to work on a tree canopy and a forest protection program. We're looking at different things, so Mike has been listening on that. I think that's about it that's new for our CAC, but we still do need members because we're down to, I believe it is 6. Okay, Kristen, am I correct? Is there anything else that I'm leaving out?
Oh,
I know we discussed a lot this afternoon.
Yeah, yeah, so as a part of that Memorial Day thing, we would have, maybe some sign-up sheets put out, if people want to get more information about CAC or come to meetings and, what we're doing in Climate Smart. We're thinking, have some information about ways people can, there's programs through NYSERDA to, for heat pumps and weatherizing your house and things like that, that we could publicize that day, and other programs, just to, get the word out about things we can do about climate change. So, that, and,
What about the purchasing policy?
yeah, I wanted to, I brought copies of this, purchasing, environmentally preferable purchasing and procurement policy. And I was wondering if I could pass them to the board members and so you can get it in front of you, because this is something we'd like to,
Definitely.
you guys to,
Thank you.
Thank you.
possibly, hopefully adopt for the town. It would
Right.
help us, to be more sustainable in our town operations. So this is based on the Hastings on Hudson, their policy. I also have examples of other towns that I can email you if you wanted to look at those.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great,
Yeah.
thank you.
And this would help us get points for if we
Awesome.
adopt this, so.
Well, we had a meeting at Ulster County Resource Recovery today
Stealing my thunder.
about the mulch, and also they actually took us for a tour all over the.
Yeah, we met with the sustainability coordinator
Okay.
and walked through their operation, which is quite impressive. And they are planning to submit a grant to DEC to set up composting operations within a few, like 3 towns I think they're looking to pilot with. And Hurley, it looks like, will be one of them. So I'm happy to share information about that.
Great.
I got things, they did some show and tell and sent us home with some flyers and all sorts of other good information. So I'd be happy to have a little meeting with you and whoever else to talk
Yeah.
about it.
Definitely,
Great.
I'd be interested.
I'm not gonna take her thunder, so I'm gonna remind her one more thing we did
You
today.
go ahead.
Tell her about Target. What did we do?
Oh, yeah, the town was in need of some cleaning products, so we bought plant-based cleaners.
Paper products, everything.
Yeah,
We're gonna go totally bio
and it-
as far as cleaning.
and it was
stuff.
actually less expensive than the commercial cleaners, so,
Yeah.
And it won't make
So do we
you
get points
wasted.
for that?
right.
Yeah. I'll figure out a way to get points.
Yeah. We want those
Write a
points.
narrative. Yeah, write a narrative.
Right,
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to add one thing that we have, I guess, the data that we're going to use for the government inventory, greenhouse gas inventory. Kristen and Felicia Legge, who was our intern, completed putting all the data in, and I'm working on the actual report, which I hope that you'll have in your hands in 2 weeks or less.
Great, thank you so much for all your work on that.
And beyond that, I don't know, do you guys get these emails from Ulster County? They're starting this renewable energy training series. And so I could send you the email on that, but there's classes for building code inspectors, for the new battery storage things that are going into buildings, and for solar permitting and inspecting. Then they get training hours for that. And there's also clean energy in your comprehensive plan.
That's a training?
That's a training, and planning board folks can get points for that also, for attending that, and,
Yeah, I don't recall seeing that.
Yeah.
so I can send that.
Thank
as
you.
well along.
And then will you make sure?
Yeah, I'll spread it out.
Yeah, so that'd be a good idea.
Okay, any other committees wishing to speak? Okay, council members, anything you wish to bring to our attention?
I'd bring up something, but I think it actually ties into the next topic,
Okay.
so
All right, so we'll
maybe
wait
just
for that.
wait for that, yeah.
Mhm, okay. mean, we can come back and,
You have some
okay.
long
I
chemical
wanna get to
things.
those topics.
Yeah.
So let's hop down to Hudson Valley Water Company. Last Friday, I had a meeting in the county executive's office with the Public Utility Law Project, a representative from Senator Hinchy's office, a representative from Assemblyman Cahill's office, County Legislator Hepner, County Legislator Stewart. I think that covers all the bases. So we went through our current reality with Hudson Valley Water Company, understanding that we are not the only town in the county impacted by this company. We happen to be blessed, and I use that sarcastically, with 2 Hudson Valley Water Companies in our town. So we're special.
So special.
So special. There's a lot of concern about what's going on, and we're aware that there's been a lot of concern for a long time that seemingly hasn't really gone anywhere. So, with some pushing, it seems that the next course of action is, one of the next actions is to have a public hearing in the county with the other towns that have water companies in their borders, so that at least we can collect stories and hear what's been going on. There was some desire among some of the people in the room for that, the focus of that to be more infrastructure-based, service-based, rather than quality and health-based. You know, that's, at the end of the day, if folks share their stories about one aspect, they can certainly, you know, move into other aspects. They are aware that there are barrels being stored outside, which is a violation. The attorney for the county is now looking at it to issue a violation in all likelihood. The other questions that I got from the people in the room was, what is the end game that you would all like to see? I felt pretty confident in stating that it's municipal ownership. Now, that could come in the form of a New York Water Authority. That's part of the pending legislation. That's been advanced by Senator Hinchy. That's going to take a little bit of time. The other question I received from the Public Utility Law Project is, are the folks who are serviced by the company interested in litigating? Because if that's the case, then we can ask the Public Service Commission to conclude their investigation, which happens to be shielding them from.
We've brought this question up before. Why can't both occur? In other words, you know, why can't we chew gum and walk a straight line at the same time?
Well, the investigation being open is shielding them from litigation. So
Yeah, that's
if
a
the
legal
investigation
issue, then.
stays open, everyone is encouraging all of you to continue making comment
Yes,
on DPS website.
yes. Only today I put 2 letters up on the site. Guess what? They were the only 2 letters, new letters.
I know.
Obviously, we've posted so many.
There
other
wasn't
letters.
anything since February of 2021. I indicated to the people in the room that, you know, folks feel beaten. They don't feel that anyone has their back, and I believe that was a pretty accurate representation of how most of you feel. So,
So, is it my understanding that from Pulp that we need to be posting at least 16 to 25 new letters on the DPS site?
25 letters will trigger another investigation.
25, okay. Guys, we need to write some more letters.
I mean, I think my other question is, and I did indicate to Pulp and, the other folks in the room, that, you know, people have written letters and they don't feel like it's doing anything. When it comes to the service side of things, how is it going? Is anything different? Are you getting any different communications or better communications, or?
If nothing else, we just got, as you know, a terrible contaminant report.
Two
And
back to back, right?
That goes back to December, and it took them till April to tell us about it, and there has been no communication as to what remediation they plan. So I pointed that out on the DPS site today, because somebody's gotta wake up here. This is like, they fixed it for a while. We've had copper problems for years. Now we're dealing with PFOS and PFOA issues as well.
That's really serious.
Sorry?
That's really serious.
Yes, it is. And there are serious health ramifications that are both short-term and long-term.
Yep.
Where all three of these contaminants are concerned.
My concern is this thing. We can't go after Jeffrey Fuller for whatever reason that we are bound by. But we can go after Jeffrey Fuller for putting contaminants on the land and having those barrels without any kind of safeguard
The
there.
county is looking at that.
Well, I'm just saying, we can do that also, because we've actually cited other, if there's garbage that people have on their property,
That's
we can
true.
cite them. We can cite Jeffrey Fuller for having these barrels, these contaminants laying on the ground there. And this isn't the first time. And now,
No.
I understand right now, the barrels there are filled with chemicals.
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Before that, they were just residues and so forth. So I think the fact that we should get Dave Gordon to issue a summons, something, maybe a hit on it.
I'll get that,
Careful.
going tomorrow, the citing of,
Yeah. I guess the question that I also have is, if we encourage the Public Service Commission to end its investigation, if they end their investigation and nothing conclusive is sort of stated at the end of it because they've ended the investigation, does that then gut the case? Does that then diminish the impact?
It seems like we are only limited by our laws that don't exist to protect
I know,
the consumers of private
It's
utility
crazy.
companies.
yeah.
Everybody else has a say, we don't. And as long as that's the case, the DPS really, they can make suggestions, they can make some mandates,
Yeah.
but for the most part, their stuff doesn't stick.
It's kind of toothless.
Yes.
Yeah. So then the other question is, if you want to litigate, that's a whole thing.
Well, is Pulp willing to help us in a real way? I mean, because people in our community can't afford to be hiring,
Right.
$300 an hour lawyers.
right.
So who can help us in that regard?
They don't have anything to do with water quality, Pulp. They tend to,
Let's sue for it's bad service and irresponsible methodology. I don't know. There's a dozen on one thing.
I can also tell you that the health department advocated for American Water Company to purchase the system.
Oh, my God.
No, that's going from, bad to worse.
Thank
Or
you, Health
or
Department.
worse to bad
Yeah,
in this
and
case.
actually provided contact information.
So
I-
one of the concerns that I have about this water issue is that there seems to be no connection between the health problems that are encountered in the community
That's right.
and the water supply. So some way, somehow, somebody needs to make this connection. I mean, we know very clearly that high levels of copper can lead to cancers of all shapes and sizes. So we need to start talking about those problems within the community as well.
Greg?
Yes.
We tried that. We tried that with getting people to call the state health department to declare that part of West Hurley a cancer cluster. They have asked us, as residents, they have asked us not to do that. They are afraid. They are afraid by that having that kind of designation, their property values are going to go down. We tried. We sat down with 2 years ago, Angela and I and a few other people, and they asked us not to do that kind of thing because they're afraid. Even though the fact they're all affected by it.
The problem is that, it's a fact. It's not like a let's pretend thing. After the service component, seems not to be the route that's going to lead to success.
Yeah, but going after the health angle is, or, happenstance. That is, we've already been dealing with this as a group, as a community for about 4 years.
Sure.
How much longer are we gonna wait for something substantive to take place? Gregory, I completely understand what you're saying, I agree with you. But where is the relief? Short term, where is the relief? So I would take the path of least resistance because we've done everything else aside from what you mentioned.
Right. I mean, so the other issue then is if there are several communities, if every community is experiencing high levels of copper,
Well,
and
we don't know that. Yeah.
we don't know that, but if they are, and if there are incidents of copper-related health problems, and there is also incidents of cancer, we're looking at a larger
Other fields.
issue,
Sure.
right? So my question, and I knew about the meeting, and I provided some information, a little bit of information about this relationship between copper and cancer, and that's only one issue. The other issue is neurological. So there are ways to make this connection. If it's going to be a problematic on the side of property values and those issues, then I don't know. I mean, it's going to it's going to be more difficult.
I have a question for you about that. If it is the idea of copper, the one thing that I found is that from every single meeting we're talking about this stuff, it's more than anything, and it rightfully should be. But what Jeffrey Fuller says is the chemicals that are put in that water are to seal the old pipes, the old cement asbestos pipes. And once it gets by that turn off to shut the water off, like on your driveway or your yard to your house, he says, I'm not responsible for that. But what it's doing is those are the chemicals that are eating the copper once it gets into the house. So there is no copper in the system, so to speak. It's in the people's houses. So it's getting in and doing this. But my question is, as far as people that are worried about their property values aren't going necessarily bad because the ground's bad. The people's property values are going down due to the chemicals and the contamination and the unkept water system. So either the water system is replaced or people get wells, and then that should really
It's a
affect
whole
your
other
property
issue.
value anymore. Because the ground's not contaminated. The water's not going in there, contaminating, and then going into the houses. It's contaminated through these lines.
Well, the bigger issue in my mind, I'm not, I
Yeah,
don't know
you're a
all the
scientist.
details. I don't know all the details here, but what I'm very clear on is if chemicals are going into a supply and leading to leached copper, somebody has to be held accountable because it is going to lead to problems with health. It's inevitable. And you can't get around that because it's sustained delivery of high levels of copper over extended periods of time. This is going to be a health problem. It's guaranteed.
Like from 2010 that we know of, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
going
that's
on for
20
a while.
odd years. That's 22 years.
But I guess the killer is here that they allegedly remediated it in December of 2020, and here we are back again, where we have actually a neighbor whose copper levels are 3 times the EPA regulatory limit, which is astounding. And again, no communication. No,
How often are they
we're on it,
checking?
we're gonna fix this, we're gonna do this or that. And so nobody's leaning on him, he's gonna do whatever the heck he wants.
How often are they checking the water quality?
I was told by Tim Rose at the health department that because of this problem now, they're gonna be on a 6-month schedule where copper is concerned.
6 months.
6 months, which means, I believe now June is the next. To me, that's like that's quite a sprawl of time.
Well, 6 months, I mean, how often do they pour the phosphate in,
When
the
needed.
orthophosphate
When
in?
needed.
Huh?
When
So guys
needed.
need it?
What is
What
one
does that
needed
mean?
though,
When
you
needed
know?
is they check to see the pH of the water.
Right,
If the
right.
pH of the water is to remediate the issue with the
Copper.
the water itself. If the pH is high, they'll put orthophosphate in there to lower the pH to protect the pipes, and that's when you start getting the leaching of the copper. So in other words, he does testing of pH, and the pH dictates how much orthophosphate goes in there to lower it.
And then you end up with pH of 5.5,
Yes.
which is what I had at my house.
That's right.
Yes.
Which causes another problem.
Yes.
That's right.
I think that doing a study would be great. I do think though that we have to figure out the most expedient thing for now, and
I agree. I've been reminded repeatedly by council
Yeah.
that we don't have technically any jurisdiction here. So anything that we do, it's just a matter of, kind of rattling the cage, right? Trying to get movement to happen, which is what I've been doing, right? I've been making phone calls and,
I think if any lawsuit should take
so-
place, we sue the county.
So,
I
yeah,
mean,
you sued
we
Board
have
of Health.
not gotten the kind of response from the health department in my.
well, that's
humble
another
opinion.
avenue to
I mean,
to
if we're
think
gonna
about.
spend money on lawyers, that, to me, that's the way to go at this point. Because we're being blown off for, and you know this already, Michael. It's happened time and again. We've talked to all the very people that, essentially that you have. And it's,
Clean
initially
waters
there's,
are right now, too.
initially there's concern, and then there's no follow through.
Well, I was
There's no
also,
follow through on the Board of Health.
right.
Oh, that's the whole problem, issue
Well,
there. No, it is
It's
because.
not just the Board of Health,
Well,
but yes, primarily
It
it's the
is,
Board.
because when we sat down with Pulp in the summertime to talk about this thing, it was decided by the Board of Health that they're gonna do mandate from Jeffrey Fuller to do testing on a more regular basis.
That's right.
And then when it was presented to the lawyers at the Board of Health, they said, dismiss it quietly,
That's
let it
right.
go down. And this was,
Also,
this,
county legislature.
well, I think the fact what should be done is a suing of the Board of Health, County Board of Health, because they are not doing their job in that sense. Because here's the thing, the only way you can get a study done is by hiring a lawyer. And hiring a lawyer, he then hires a firm to do the study. That costs money. That's upfront money going through here. And, I know, I spoke to you many times when we spoke to a couple lawyers, they won't take contingency. They want a retainer. And even though they can wind up with something like, our lawyer said that it costs like $50,000 minimum to get the whole thing going. That's,
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
yeah. I mean, you have to find a lawyer somehow that would take contingency over retainer. So far, there hasn't been any. I know we contacted the lawyer in Albany,
Yes.
and, and it was just, it's gotta be something very forceful to be done. And the way I think it has to be done is a lawyer has to be commissioned to sue the public health, county public health, because they are not doing their job. Their recommendations were not there. When we sat down with Pulp in the summertime, their suggestion was for the county Board of Health to condemn the system, and then we will take it over as a town. At that time, we said no. We didn't want to become, another contractor for the water. I think now is the time that we do that. We do take it over. We do go and contact Pulp, because that was their suggestion, and have the Board of Health commit and, and condemn the system.
That's all it is.
It's the
Yeah,
only way.
they haven't been willing to do that. I mean,
Well, you know what? We
Well,
should
Pulp
make
has
them
said
drink
that.
water.
They said that, they said that back in last summer. They
no,
said,
I understand that, but County Board of Health hasn't been willing to.
we have to somehow push it, that they have to condemn it. We have to do something with it.
But
And
has-
maybe the lawsuit that's coming up with them is to condemn the system.
I mean, the other thing that we were told, and I think you heard the same thing I did, correct me if I'm wrong, that he still has to be compensated.
He has to, he gets
We would have to
compensated.
buy the system.
We would have to buy the
We'd
system.
have to give him money.
Yes, but here's the
Which we
thing,
don't wanna
it's
do.
not his choice with the amount of money. It goes to a forensic accountant who
Right.
determines the value of the system, and that's exactly what he'll get.
You'll be on us, man.
you know?
Yeah,
So I think, you know, that's, I believe, is the way we should be going. We should be going after the County Board of Health, demanding through litigation or whatever, that they condemn the system, and then the town takes it over.
So just so I'm clear, so we go back to Richard Berkey at Pulp, and we say, we're gonna follow up on your recommendation. Then what? Then who are we hiring to put our money where,
Well,
put the money where our mouth is?
Let's speak to Richard, see exactly what the next step is then. That, yes, we agree that, that the system should be condemned, just like he, recommended back in, the summertime. What's step two? We should ask him, because he was very definitive on that point, saying that that's the step you gotta go for in that aspect of it.
so I'm happy to call Richard and Lori, if you all
I
want me to.
we have to-
What about Joseph Dowling, the attorney at DPS?
Yeah, I haven't set up that meeting because I wasn't sure what direction we wanted to go in, so, I mean, I'm still happy to do that, that was one of the things that Lori suggested, but I wanna know that that's what you all,
I
you know.
actually dropped his name in one of my 2 letters to the DPS today,
Okay,
saying, basically, if I haven't heard from you guys, that's the next step I'm taking. So just so you know,
okay,
that's what I suggested.
all right,
In the meantime,
so should I go ahead and set that up?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right,
A question,
yes.
which has been my question, if you condemn a system, can we still get service?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. But the thing is, though, the service now, when the system's condemned, it has to be uncondemned, which means we have to go in as a municipality and now make changes, that he is not making changes in.
Well, and, I mean, the other side of this is that once it's publicly owned, then there's a lot of money out there for municipalities.
there's a lot of grants.
There-
Yeah.
Yes, federal grants, state grants,
Infrastructure.
The first thing is, we gotta buy it.
right,
That's the
right,
first
and
step.
he's not eligible for those, so,
But we would be.
We would be
Yes,
once,
we would be
once it's
eligible.
public.
yeah.
I mean, I do think, all of this does need to happen. I think it's not a bad idea if you can even write a template letter for everybody to just, just get those 25 letters out there so it's done.
We've been
Just-
criticized for doing that, we did that last time.
Well-
We actually changed them up so that they sounded like authentic letters from individuals, just to move the pace along. And Fuller, like, ripped us apart for these, obviously were not written by my
He can
customers.
do whatever, I mean, that's the least of his egregious actions at this point, but to have them done, I think is important. I think it's important to have it on the record.
Yep.
And to have all the the signatures.
Well, especially, considering, they consider him now in compliance.
Yeah. But
With the exception of the water test, but everything else, all of the billing issues and the customer service issues and the like.
He's not complying with the lack of a generator.
No, well, technically, what I was told is, he's considered in compliance because he's provided a plan.
Yeah.
There is a concrete plan. Apparently, there will be a generator in the next year or two.
He's implementing it.
Right.
That's the.
So, and understand that, state agencies such as the Department of Public Service is way more interested in protecting the interests of the corporate entity rather than, advocating on behalf of the people. So, I would encourage all of you to be vocal about what hasn't changed, right? Like, if communication from the company hasn't changed, if boil water notices are no more reliable or anything. And when I say reliable, I mean, is he still putting small slips of paper on mailboxes? I mean,
Tucking them in the
As
flag.
long as, unless they blow away in the wind. You can't make this stuff up.
no, you really can't.
Do you think, like I said, do you think this fear of property values down could be basically show it the way it really is? It's the water he's creating that's causing the danger. It's not the ground. So honestly, literally, like if you were to, let's just say that was stopped and everybody had their own wells. Now everybody's having the water directly out of the ground and into their house.
It's the tank
I'm not,
that's the problem.
but what I'm saying is, it's not gonna hurt anybody's property value.
Peter, they were talking about when you designate an area as a cancer cluster, it does do that,
Who's gonna buy it?
you know. It does do that.
Right.
It's happened,
It's
like
inevitable.
New Jersey is full of those
Yeah.
like
You know
pockets.
something here also, with, with the municipal water system that we will then take care of, the CT Mal came out with the water study, and they said that West Hurley, and this side of West Hurley here, is sitting on a reservoir of water, tremendous amount of water. If we work this out
Some of us.
completely, well, if we work this
Yeah.
out completely with this thing, supplying water there, we can supply water for Glenford too, as part of the municipal system, and solve your need also.
Well,
We- we-
I,
I'm just saying.
I need to interject here. Yes, to a certain degree, you're right. However, there are plenty of people we know who are having well problems. That's the first thing. Second thing is, CT Mail came back and said that any system that we do here will be at least twice as expensive as any similar system because of the geology in West Hurley and Glenford.
But they also came back, CT Mail, saying that if we had owned the system, there were grants out there that we can apply for. and
Well,
get.
sure, but no grant will cover anything 100%, right? Everything is matching, and, I mean, just to do the neighborhood around the school, which isn't the neighborhood serviced by Hudson Valley Water Company, right? Was like $9 million,
It's incredible.
just for a couple of hundred homes here. So, that doesn't even begin to touch across the way.
Water system.
Right,
I have a well.
Right.
What do I want, and everybody who lives in this
Well, it's
area.
just used as an example.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I have a well.
right.
There's nothing wrong with my well. Okay? I don't want to be in your water system. And the people here.
suggesting doing a water
Okay,
system, we're just-
because you're saying about, you mentioned about the area over here being $9 million.
Because the
We
end-
do not want wet, we do not want to be in a water
No, I
system.
understand, we're not talking about doing it, what I'm saying, I'm citing is, engineers, when they looked at it, said that it would be twice as, not that we're gonna do it, not that we're even thinking about it, but that's what they said.
The thing we all have to realize too, with our area is very unique with the idea of the geology of it. Water freezes. When you put water lines in, they need to be at least 4 feet down,
They're
Which-
not,
Which these
which below the frost level, and that's what they go by. And the thing is, if any of the pumps fail, water sits in the line. When water freezes, it expands. And, it'll happen when a pipe expands. And if it keeps expanding and contracting, expanding and contraction, they get very weak. The way to put in a new system, which they didn't do originally, that stone has to be taken out and at least jackhammered out to get down to where we could put pipes low enough where we don't run into these issues.
yeah, we're not,
But
The details, I don't think this is, I don't know if we need the details yet.
Yeah,
I think
I'd like-
There's a bigger problem here. We can't even get over this problem to get to the details.
so I have action steps here of, I'm going to contact our town attorney about citing the company regarding the chemicals that are being left outside. We're not gonna wait for the county to do that. I will make a phone call to Public Utility Law Project and speak with Lori Wheeler and Richard Berkeley. I will schedule a meeting with, Public Service Commission Counsel Joseph Dowling. And I will circle back to when a public hearing might be at the county level for collecting stories. And the other thing we can all do.
That would include the other
Yeah.
water systems with.
Yes, it would include Saugerties, which has Mount Marion, Rosendale, which has High Falls Water Company. We're not hearing any problems coming out of, the small system in Boyceville. So, they may not participate.
Saugerties is the biggest of.
Saugerties is the biggest and High Falls is a close second. So that's my to-do list.
And then the letters.
And then you all have to pound the pavement again and make complaints to the Public Service Commission as frequently as you want, you know, and cite every problem.
There's no shortage of issues that we can address in each letter, so,
Yeah,
Right,
yes, for sure.
okay, and we'll stay in touch.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Okay, the next big issue on the agenda is the RFPs that we issued an RFP last month to mitigate the mold at the highway garage. That's something that came out of a violation that was issued by New York State. We have to comply by June 1st in order to avoid fines. We are actively working with the state to see if we can't have a little bit more time to get some things in order. So that's kind of my lead up. I did provide copies of the bids to board members. I'm looking for some discussion amongst all of you.
In terms of.
Reaction to the RFPs,
well, I have to say, I think it's not a complete solution and it's really expensive. And then it leaves us with less money, less funds to do something permanent.
Agreed.
And solve a permanent problem, which I think is really what they need.
Okay, is there consensus around those statements?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The other item that I provided to all of you are two quotes from Air Guys, who did the initial, testing at the highway garage. You may remember that last fall, the former supervisor, made arrangements for air scrubbers to be installed. It was a customized system in the highway garage. We leased air scrubbers without mitigating the mold to the tune of $29,000
A month.
for the 6-month period. That 6-month period has now come to an end, and it came to an end like yesterday. So we need to make a decision about whether, I asked him to give us kind of two quotes. They're very close in price, which was surprising to me. One of them is to do another lease agreement, eliminating the setup fee. The second is to purchase the system and have a maintenance agreement where they just come and they change filters. I don't understand why those two prices are very similar, but,
You can lease it or you can have it. It's all the same.
it's all the same. Yeah,
Why didn't we buy it to begin with? Why did we,
I
you
can't
would have
go,
owned it by now.
yeah, I can't answer those questions.
But the thing is, it's still not, it's not a full solution. It's just scrubbing the air without actually dealing with the problem. And dealing with the problem itself is prohibitively expensive at this point.
That is correct.
So we're sort of geologically between a rock and a hard place.
We
on that.
are between a rock and a hard place, so, given we need to make some kind of decision pretty quickly, because, again, we will be facing fines daily
Which
if
is
we
gonna make
don't.
it even more expensive.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, in my estimation, the two options are, remediate. That's an option.
Okay.
Maybe not an option we like or we wanna really think about. Or really vacate the premises.
And find a better place that's
And-
safer.
Well,
That- yeah.
short term.
Short term.
Short term, until we can get the long-term solution figured out and funded, more importantly, because we don't have the funds to build a new highway garage. The town of Warsing, which has double the amount of roads that we have, is building a new highway garage to the tune of $7 million. So we have half the roads, and I'm thinking probably $3.5 to $4 million.
And some
It's a
of that
guess.
will be able to be funded in grants.
Well,
But
we do
not,
have some money put aside, don't we? We have something like 2 million put aside?
We have, right now, there is 1.5 million in a reserve fund. With that said, though, there is currently a contract with an engineering firm for $333,000. So that basically knocks down the
1.2.
savings to 1.2, which is obviously not nearly enough. So that's kind of like the big picture. We know ultimately the goal is to build something new. We're not sure what that looks like yet.
Well, we know they need it,
We know they need it.
so that's the bottom line.
Right, so we need a short-term solution. A short-term meaning probably 2 to 3 years.
Are there places available? Are there?
I'm a member of the committee, and we've had a few meetings about this. We are literally not throwing anything off the table. We are looking at every option possible for
Okay.
everything, but we do realize that the first thing we have to do is find a safe building for them.
Yeah,
And that's number one.
yeah.
And then the idea of what we're gonna do about a new building or buy a new building. We have numerous things we've worked on and talked to different people in different buildings and different things already. I'm amazed at this committee of what we've done already.
You got good people.
And, yeah, we do. And that's where we're at. But of course, like all of you, fresh water all of us deserve to be safe. And
That's my
the first thing
primary
is we need to get them out of that building. And one way or another.
Well, and in all honesty, I mean, even a remediation path, they would have to vacate completely, right? I mean,
Yes.
everything would have to be gutted and taken out anyway, so.
I mean,
And to be honest, we're spending money to clean a building that
it's not sufficient anyway.
it's not.
And-
And it's really
I mean,
kind of a waste
Mike
of
has
money.
said it too, so.
Tax dollars money.
So, are you all feeling as though, we want to introduce a resolution for the department to vacate the complex? Is that the direction everyone's feeling like they want to
Well,
go?
I would
over
like
what,
to see that,
what
yes.
period of time are we talking about?
Well,
And-
that's kind of,
I personally think, probably because we're still looking, we've got a couple of options right now, and we're even gonna look for a couple more. And then we'll have to come back to the board and run it through everyone and see what everybody thinks is the best thing to do. Of course, democracy, and then we'll do it. But I think to be fair to the highway department, and we're gonna try to do this very quick, you can't just say, move out tomorrow. It's
No,
too big
of
a
course
thing.
not.
But basically, we'll vacate, as soon as we know we can get a place, for instance, let's say we do that, when we can get in, then we'll talk to the highway department, we'll talk to everybody, like, what's a reasonable, how soon can we get out of here? Because some of this stuff's gonna have to be pulled out, like the tools and set up, all of that kind
So,
of stuff.
I think, I hear you.
Mhm.
My concern is this. We have a state agency that is pretty serious about holding us accountable. So I think that we need to probably pass a resolution
Yeah,
stating our current reality and what our plans are,
and present it to them.
sooner rather than later.
well, they need a
Okay.
resolution to see that we're taking action,
Yeah.
taking steps.
I think the
And
chances
not-
of finding a large building is not going to be.
Have you guys looked into that, on
We can.
Vandale, the county, buildings there?
Yeah, we did
Yes.
make a call there. They're full at the moment, so,
I have negotiations going with him there about some other options.
Just in case people wanna know how much we're talking about in terms of the mold remediation.
yeah, the bids are between $159,000 and $259,000.
And that's just for mold remediation.
That's just for mold remediation.
And they would have to be out anyway,
Is
so.
the air scrubbers bringing the mold level down to where it's habitable?
No.
No, it's kind
No, that's
The-
why We have the violation.
I mean, in all honesty, the violation is, I mean, it's
real.
It's considered a non-serious violation, meaning that, I say only because, you know, with the state, it could be much more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is, you know, it's years in the making, right? So.
Yeah,
here we are.
it's cited on sanitary conditions at the garage.
Has
So after the
anybody,
air scrubbers for 6 months, they did a test and it didn't bring it down?
It would seem, yes.
Can we speak about what the violation's about or no?
Yeah, the violation has to do with the conditions in a storage area being unsanitary. And also, certain records were not provided, which apparently now have been provided. So that part is, has been remedied, but,
has anybody determined what the origin of the mold is? The
Um,
building doesn't create it.
There's file cabinets.
It's organic material. It was file cabinets that were left in an area for so long that they literally rusted into the ground
Well,
and
can't they be
moisture.
removed and the building sterilized? That's
Well,
what-
that
that's
would be
what
the
the
remediation.
that's what the
I mean,
remediation
that's
price
what
is.
people do.
Yeah,
But it-
that's,
it-
you're talking about-
$160,000 to do that.
It's what it is.
Well,
But then the thing is, we have even less money to actually do what the highway department needs, which is a new garage.
Well, if you
So,
resolve the mold problem, you won't need a new building.
No, we still do. It's
No, we still do.
Building.
yeah.
yeah, the electric there
So
is not to
the goal
code.
is actually a new building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
then we'd be spending good money after bad at that point, you know, that's a, yeah, the goal is a new building.
Move the people out, save that $160,000 and put it toward the building.
Right.
Where?
Quite.
That's,
Not that
Where are we
large.
moving to?
We have to find a place for them to move.
well, there's a few vacant buildings around that may get us through short term.
I think that's something we should be doing right away.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So that's
agree.
what your team, that's what your
All right, so we
team
have to do a resolution.
Yeah, I didn't have it in time to print it out, but there is a
You have a resolution.
There is a draft resolution, I guess, sent to our email.
Could you read it to
So-
us?
Let me see if I can get it. I can't seem to get online with my phone. Are you all interested in going down this path right now?
I don't think we
I don't think
should.
we have to.
Okay, all
I
right,
think
that's
we
fine.
need to wait.
We just know that we have to do
We
it.
may end up having to do a special meeting because our next board meeting is May 31st.
Yeah, that's
And the
fine.
deadline is
Can I ask
June
you a question?
1st.
Oh, May 31st as opposed to May 24th?
May 24th, there is a conflict at the town hall because there's a jury trial. So we worked it out with the court that we would have it the following Tuesday because there's 5 Tuesdays in May,
Also, the next town board meeting is the 31st.
the 31st. You can go on the 24th and see probably a pretty
Really
lively jury
exciting
trial.
That's okay, I don't really need to.
Right, enough excitement.
I have enough excitement in my life.
Is Frank on?
Let me see. Wrong thing.
Well, I'm fine with a special
Didn't
meeting.
Mike find a place for you, didn't Mike find a place to move into?
That was Peckham?
No, Etain.
Etain, by the Etain.
Right, that's Peckham.
They sold this
Oh, okay.
property.
Yeah, that didn't get off the ground. I think there were some conversations, but it didn't
Oh, okay.
didn't really
Because I
go
know
anywhere.
that when he was working there.
Yeah.
So I was very concerned
And they had no,
about the conditions at the
they
highway.
had no restrooms or a septic.
That's not good,
Well, it could have been a temporary issue.
yeah.
I was just very concerned about it.
That's no longer an issue.
Yep. Okay, so so is the consensus that we will not pursue air guys?
I don't think it's
what do
not,
you guys-
it's not helping, it's not solving the problem.
You're just pushing it down the road.
It's just, yeah, and it's not even being that effective, that's the problem, you know.
I have been told that the air quality is a bit better, but I mean, without remediating, I don't know how.
That's,
Right.
this
I
is
mean,
the bigger problem. I
it's
mean,
a bigger
we
Do we
problem.
have to hold
So-
off? I mean, do we have to give this a period of time and then we, you know, so say it's gonna be like 3 months? to find a place and do all that.
Yeah.
What do we do in the meantime? Do we have to do this? In other words, like, we could just keep leasing the air scrubbers for now?
Providing, well, yeah, providing we can get an extension from the state.
You see, we can't probably get an extension, because as long as you keep the doors open all the time, like right now in the warmer weather, we have some remediation right there,
Right.
in a sense. So maybe, you know, we stress to the DEC that, you know, we are looking, we are keeping the doors wide open here with everything going through, and then, you know, hopefully by the end of the summer, we can find, move them all out, in that sense. But that was the thing also, is that you can't do that in the wintertime, obviously.
Right.
Yes.
Right, obviously,
But you can do it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's terrible to do it in the wintertime anyway, considering, yeah.
Yeah.
So why, I mean, Peter is working on this from a committee level. Let
Yeah.
Peter
Yes.
finish his work and get back to us with some kind of recommendation so that we can act on it before the 31st.
Okay. All right, that's the plan.
I mean, it's on you now, Peter.
Peter, are
to
you
get-
finding, Peter,
Yeah,
are you finding places at all? Have you,
we're in talking with a few different places right now, and we're looking at anything you could possibly think of, from shared services with other towns to the farthest thing, and all the way to even the building up on top of the hill. So we're looking at every possible thing.
I think
Yeah.
Mike was referring to,
No.
short-term
Short-term right now.
locations.
Short-term, yeah.
and not talking about the building right now.
Right, like a place to vacate too.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so why don't you bring your recommendations as
And then if we
quickly
need
as
to
you
call
can.
a special meeting, we
Yeah,
will.
and we just
Okay,
do that.
all right.
And just get
Let's
this
do
all
that.
over with.
Okay. So my apologies, I wasn't able to send this to you all, but, we do have a shared services agreement with Woodstock. Every 3 years, that agreement expires. So, I have a new agreement from the town of Woodstock. I'll get you all copies, you can review it.
Okay.
And, I'll look for your
Resolution
permission
is- okay,
to
okay.
sign it
Yeah.
at the next meeting.
Okay.
We received some bids for improving our audio visual in the town, including hiring somebody to video. I'm understanding that the gentleman in the room has been hired by another party, so we can't take advantage of that recording apparently.
Wait, can we?
I think you can.
Can we?
Yeah?
Yeah, I think you can send. I think they're gonna send it to you if you want.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
We could post it on YouTube.
Yep.
We have a brand new YouTube channel.
That's great.
There is a YouTube, yeah.
It's brand new. It's gonna be connected to our new website, which will go up in the next, hopefully, couple of days.
Can I make one suggestion? Okay, if people are talking, because I know when we're on Zoom, we can't hear. And talking about even, I should be doing that. People in the audience should be walking up to the mic because nobody can understand or hear. So I'm hoping that will get fixed. Because it's, no one, I'm loud, so people
We're
can probably hear me.
We're aware
You like that, Roger?
We're aware that our audio needs improvement, and so does our video. So, all that to say, we did receive a couple of bids. Those bids were rather high.
And the
So
committee didn't,
the
even the committee even
the
rejected it.
communications committee is recommending that we not pursue either one of those vendors, and that we look for a solution that is more within our budget. So
It would have been amazing, but it's too expensive.
it was a lot.
Yeah.
I think we weren't expecting $100,000 or $91,000. Yeah. Okay, so we'll address that at the next meeting as well. You all are in agreement with the
Yeah.
communications
Yes.
committee recommendations? Okay.
Especially because they recommended it,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. We don't typically do resolutions, but there are a couple of pressing items that we need to take care of because some things have happened in the last few weeks. that require
Okay.
that. So, the first item, which I apologize to the Climate Smart Committee that we had you all on our radar and we just didn't have a resolution. So thank you for your patience and helping with this. Okay. Whereas the Climate Smart Task Force has recommended to the town board that it undertake an energy audit of town of Hurley facilities to potentially save money in the cost of energy and to conserve energy as a climate smart community. And whereas the Climate Smart Task Force issued a request for proposals and has advised the town board that the proposal from Daylight Savings Company of Goshen, New York represents the best value for the town. And whereas the town board has reviewed the recommendation of the Climate Smart Task Force and the response to the RFP, now therefore be it hereby resolved that the town board hereby approves the proposal from Daylight Savings Company dated April 20th, 2022, as the best value to the town of Hurley, and directs and authorizes the supervisor to enter into the proposed contract with Daylight Savings Company for a level 1 energy audit of town of Hurley facilities in an amount not to exceed $2,900. And be it further resolved that the town board thanks the volunteer members of the Climate Smart Task Force for their excellent work in managing this project. Is that right?
2,900?
Well, did we wanna do just town hall, or did we wanna do the old library? There was a price for each building.
I have it. Hang on one second.
I didn't bring it,
You're
so I
right.
didn't bring it.
I agree. I think that was a mistake.
How many buildings were we gonna do?
I
Well,
think,
we could do also, well, now that I've heard all this discussion about the highway, I'm thinking maybe we just,
Not do
okay,
that.
so that price is not correct.
but maybe we do.
They broke it down per building, and there is a grant. We did get a grant from NYSERDA to cover the cost of this.
Yeah.
So the town hall is $3,140, and also the former library,
Same amount?
same amount,
Okay.
3130?
3140.
$3,140.
And what's the 2,900 then?
That price is,
Town hall?
that's a typo. That's a,
So it's 6280,
yes.
but we have a grant from NYSERDA.
And there's money in the Climate Smart budget line
Yeah.
as well.
Yes, so we would pay for it through from our budget.
And
Right.
then get reimbursed?
Well, that grant will go into their budget line
Okay.
anyway, so.
Yeah.
So what's the maximum?
It's 6280,
And that's for the level 1.
so, yeah. So for the level,
See, I'm wondering, because to do all three was this price.
right,
Do we really
And
want to
if
get
we
into the
just do
highway?
two, it's more than that.
right.
course it would. No, of course they would do that.
So it's that, and it's that. That's the highway garage.
Hey, can we go back to them and ask
So-
them
That's what I'm
why?
thinking, maybe we could
Because-
just say, can we
Give us
just,
a better price for the two.
Well,
Yeah.
so the resolution is up to a maximum of, right?
Yeah, so we could-
that
Yeah,
looks like
so
the maximum is
amount, an
7,000.
amount not to
Exceeds
exceed
$7,000.
$7,000.
Right?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, everybody on board with that change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I second it.
Well, I haven't finished reading.
I thought you did.
Be it further resolved that the town board thanks the volunteer members of the Climate Smart Task Force for their excellent work in managing this project. So that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
It's great.
Okay. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Okay. And one more.
Oh, wow.
We had
Okay.
a resignation due to some personal issues. Resolution to appoint Catherine Kewell as interim planning board chair. Be it hereby resolved that the town board hereby appoints Catherine Kewell as interim planning board chair for a period of 3 months. That's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Gregory? Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Ray Palmer?
Ray Palmer has a death in the family. and he resigned.
And Catherine was appointed in this place?
No, Catherine we appointed to fill, Mitch resigned, right?
Right.
Because of family health issues. So Catherine was put in his place, and.
My concern is like she just was put in.
She's pretty
a month ago.
smart.
Okay, so here's what I have to say. I did speak, first of all, it was Carl Bruckner who recommended Catherine.
They know each other.
They know each other. The second thing is, Catherine has an awful lot of experience running nonprofit agencies and boards. And Carl and I spoke about this, and we feel that although she may not have all of the planning information, she does know how to run a board. And
Okay.
with the consultants that we have now,
Yeah.
we have a great planner, we have a wonderful municipal land use attorney and environmental lawyer. We've got a planning board secretary planning and zoning secretary
It's
that,
real, you know,
No,
Maggie.
I'm concerned that the other members of the board say this is okay.
no one else wants it. And she didn't really even want it.
So she got it by default.
Well, we asked her if she would consider just doing this short term,
All right.
and
But the others said no, they just didn't want to do
that
it.
is correct.
She's had a lot of, I mean,
Okay.
she's
She's
kind of
I'm
like
not-
a
I'm not
natural
questioning
leader
her-
in
I'm
that
not
way,
questioning
so.
her
Yeah.
ability. I'm
Right.
just questioning, does it sit right with the other board members?
Yeah, nobody else wants that.
Okay.
Nobody would take it.
Yeah, they were all like, no.
No.
Okay, any more discussion? We have a motion and a
Who
second.
seconded that?
I did.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried.
Okay. Kathy.
Let's see. I have had a lot of complaints in the last week, regarding drainage and flooding and all sorts of things. I know, it's kind of the nature of the beast, storms are getting stronger. So as folks, are impacted by those kinds of issues, I'm just gonna encourage folks to call my office because, that creates an opportunity for me to have a conversation and with the highway department and to see if there's anything that can reasonably be done beyond investing millions of dollars to fix.
I'm sorry, I think this is I really do think this is very fun. My basement floods, it rains, you get a flood.
We need to read this. We need to get, Melinda needs to get to what we're
I mean,
speaking about.
the
Because we
bottom,
don't know what we're speaking about.
The-
This is how we run a meeting.
the situation is this,
Excuse me, Peter, I have a question, I can talk. Yes, I'm sorry, Melinda.
no, the reality is this, that, yeah, some people have basements flood, some things are persistent, right? But there are also situations in the town, in certain areas, that have never really had those kind of problems before, where something has legitimately changed. And sometimes it's not just the weather, sometimes it's changes that were made over time, or by neighbors, or, and sometimes, as what happened today, I was able to have a conversation with Mike, who then sat down with John and also Andrew, and they brainstormed a couple of things. They went and looked at something, and they noticed that something was different, and it's something that they felt that they could take care of in relatively short order. So I guess what I'm saying is, if there's an issue that arises, folks should call my office, and if there is an opportunity for kind of a relatively quick fix, sometimes we can facilitate that. That's all I'm saying
You're
here.
not just talking about regular, like
So-
people's basements flooding.
No, I'm talking, well,
It's like the terrain, really. is
Well,
what we're trying to do.
it rains.
there's,
No, the terrain.
yeah, but you have to understand that there, with the prevalence now of removing trees on steep slopes,
Okay.
that creates issues,
that
right? There are
creates-
things like
yes,
that
it
creates
a lot of
issues,
things,
right?
Yes.
So,
But I do have a question about that. If a person, let's say I live on this and I remove my trees and I start getting, that's my fault, that was my fault, correct? It's not really, it's not really the town's fault if I decide that I want to take this whole row of trees out.
Listen to the resolution, because it's.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really have anything to do with it. It's about rocks.
I mean,
That's why I'm saying we're not talking about anything that
Well,
I'm talking about here.
it's not a resolution.
Yeah, but we started with this, is what we're talking about, it's this, and this is about rocks.
So, okay, so this didn't make it on the agenda, we're not doing this tonight, but there is a resolution that we will introduce for the next board meeting.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Thank you. It's been a long day, I'm sorry.
So long.
So there's a resolution for an easement with New York State, so that the town can address issues of falling rocks onto Dug Hill Road.
Do you want me to read it?
Well, we're gonna read it at the next
At the
meeting.
next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike just asked us to discuss a couple of things tonight. The next issue that the highway superintendent would like us to deal with is there's a draft resolution to purchase a brush chipper. The amount would be not to exceed $85,000 to use CHIPS funding for it. He says here that the current chipper is more than 25 years old and in need of replacement. So anyway, that's
And this probably has to do with all of the brush that they've been collecting
From the ice storm, yeah.
storm, which is a lot.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's,
Is that what this will be used for, that kind of thing?
yeah, yep. So I think that's all the business I have. We do have a shredding event happening on the 21st of May at the transfer
We're doing
station
it.
and recycling center.
Okay.
A portion of the cost will be offset by Marshall and Sterling. It's our insurance company.
Thank you.
And that event will be from 12 to 3.
Do we have to pay for that?
Residents don't have to pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Do you need a permit to the transfer station?
Yeah, but actually, anything like that, we'll also have one of the trucks
Wait, you
down.
need- Do you need a permit to use the transfer station?
No,
To do the shredding.
To the shred event?
to show that I'm a resident of the town.
Oh, you don't have to have a permit, it's also you live here in the town, you can use
Yes.
this.
Okay, because this is at the transfer station.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking, do you need a permit to get?
Well, typically they do require a permit. I don't know, I haven't been to one of these events before. I don't know where they set up. So,
I think we can.
we'll figure it out. If you need something special, we'll let you know in advance. Okay?
Well, I just, the public needs to know that.
Of course.
The
of
other,
course.
the other thing we're also doing for this to help out is we will have a truck down at Town Hall for 2 hours till noon.
From
So
10 to
any-
12.
10 to 12, anyone down there who's a resident who is unable to get up there will be able to bring the box to us, we'll put it in the truck and we'll bring it up. Because we've had some elderly people that have questioned and want to make it a little more easier for them than to have to try to get up that mountain.
Can we bring bags or is it just boxes?
It's like either or.
Yeah, it's,
Okay, because I have stuff in a garbage bag now.
okay.
We couldn't, it would have to be dumped in.
Yeah.
From what I hear, they have like the containers, so you would give, I guess, they have their own people that like monitor it, so they'll take your papers or your bag, and then they dump it in, make sure it's all okay, and then the scooper thing just picks it up and dumps it.
Okay.
So everybody just comes.
Well, we have to be careful also that there's no paper clips and any kind of metal that's in there, because that could foul things up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's what they're gonna do. I asked about that, they didn't seem all that concerned with it.
No, I think
Paper
they said
clips,
something
but
about
heavy,
papers are okay.
but heavy duty
Yep.
metal.
And the last thing on the agenda is the Memorial Day Parade. It's happening. Anyone interested in helping out, give my office a call. My wonderful assistant Samara is the one who's coordinating this, so. That's all I have, folks.
And
Well-
who's gonna be the guest of honor?
A guest of honor's back there.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the grand marshal? Mr.
Who's that guy back
Rice?
there, buddy?
Mrs. Rice. Did you find a truck?
I believe so.
Yeah? All right.
Okay. In the firehouse, the fire department will be, as you
I
requested.
believe they're gonna meet tomorrow night and discuss what they're doing.
Very good. Very good. I'd also like to publicly thank West Hurley Fire Department for what you guys do. I'm not gonna get into it, but I had the pleasure of having you in my home. And, I'm
So
grateful.
many house calls.
I'm grateful for what you all do. Thankfully, it was not something serious.
I heard you discussing before about the cooling stations.
Yes.
As of this afternoon, this could be a cooling station that we put air conditioning units.
I see, you have two splits. That's wonderful.
It's warm in here, so we put.
That's awesome.
That's great.
It's wonderful.
That's
one now.
great. That's great. So thanks for what you all do. Thanks, everybody, for coming. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Very much.
Thanks very much.